Today's message title is Follow the Covenant, Joshua 3:19 to 17. What are you following right now? Are you following your own dreams? Are you following success? Are you following money? Are you following your girlfriend or your boyfriend? Following them around. You got to follow the covenant.
Amen.
I'm not asking you not to work. I'm not asking you not to study. I'm not asking you to. I'm not asking you not to make any friend. But you got to follow the covenant first. That has to be your priority. I'm so glad that all of you are here. You made your priority to worship God this morning, to listen to His voice this morning. The daylight saving started this morning, and none of you are late, so that's great. That even rhymes. But very important, what is your priority? Covenant has to be your priority. And you know what? Everything else will follow. Everything else will follow.
Amen.
There was a time when I thought that I will never work again. There was a time when I thought that I will never make any friend. But I am working for God. I have made many friends and am still making friends. There was only one thing that I did. I had no choice but to do that one thing because of all the problems I had, and that was to follow the covenant. But of course, this is the covenant of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
That's all I did. And once again, I say this, I had no choice. I had no work. I could not work. So I kept listening to the message of Jesus Christ, of the covenant, and everything else followed. It took me time, but that's okay, because that's all I had. I had time back in those days. Here's the introduction. When Israelites followed the Ark of the Covenant, here's that word, covenant. The Jordan split and they were able to cross the river. Is there a Jordan in front of you? I'm not talking about the Jordan River, of course. Is there an obstacle in front of you? Is there a challenge in front of you? If you follow the covenant, that Jordan will split.
Amen.
God will take care of that obstacle. God will take care of that challenge. You know what? God will turn that challenge into a blessing.
Amen.
That River Jordan was not a problem for the Israelites. It became crossing the Jordan became a testimony for the whole Israelites. So I don't know what problem you have, what obstacle or challenge you have ahead of you, but you know what, that will, when you follow the covenant, you're going to overcome that obstacle or challenge. And that in itself will become a testimony. Many of you know what I went through in the past, and I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed of it either, because when I followed, my family, when my parents followed the covenant, I was able to overcome that problem, that challenge, and that itself became my testimony. And even in April, I have to go to Leisure World in Seal Beach. I don't know if you know Leisure World, but it's for elderly people. And no, I'm not that old yet. But I am invited again. I'm invited constantly because I crossed my Jordan. Whatever that Jordan may be. I crossed it. So whatever obstacle, challenge, problem may you have ahead of you, you can cross that. You can overcome that.
Amen.
When you follow the covenant. So that's it. So, shall I go back to my seat? That's a no, right? Okay. So, I'll continue. All right. I don't know if you made the right choice, but I might continue for the next hour. God of the covenant. We believe in God, but you can't see God. Have you seen God? Have you touched Him? Have you smelled God? What does He smell like? God is spirit, which means that you can't see Him, you can't touch Him or smell Him, but He is the God of the covenant. He made a covenant with Adam and Eve. I don't have time to explain about that right now, but that's how you meet God. That's how you have relationship with God, through the covenant.
Amen.
Now with us, He made a new covenant. This is not the old covenant. Old covenant is all about works, right? It's not about how you think, how you feel. It's all about what you do, right? You do it, you're going to be blessed. Great. Wait. You don't do it, you're going to get cursed. Uh-oh. I don't want that part. But that's the law. That's the old covenant. That's the law of Moses, which was the old covenant. That's covenant of works. Now I'm talking theology. Now there's also a covenant of grace. That's the new covenant. And that's the covenant that God gave us.
Amen.
That's the covenant of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
So when you know that, believe it, then you have relationship with God. You can communicate with God. And you can enjoy God's blessing, His power in your life.
Amen.
Our God is the Creator God. And that Creator God is with us through the covenant.
Amen.
The covenant of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
I would like to emphasize this part. You have to not only believe it, but have to continually be in the flow of this covenant. What is that supposed to mean? You have to continually listen to the message that proclaims not the old covenant, but the new covenant,
Amen.
the covenant of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
That's how you enjoy Emmanuel.
Amen.
What if you don't? What if you don't? What if you are not in this flow? Well, God is still with you, but you're going to go through a lot. Let me just put it that way, right? You're going to be attacked spiritually, and all kinds of things will happen in your life. You're still a child of God, but you are not enjoying the Emmanuel. God is still with you, but you are not enjoying that spiritual truth. So, the covenant of Jesus Christ, that's the covenant that God gave us. If you stay in that covenant, if you continually listen to the message of that covenant of Jesus Christ, you enjoy Emmanuel.
Amen.
And works will happen in your life. Things will happen in your life. Wonderful things, amazing things
Amen.
will happen in your life. So follow the covenant. It's okay to have dreams, but most of all, follow the covenant. It's okay to have friends. Okay to have many, many friends, but most of all, follow the covenant.
Amen.
We have never, ever traveled this road called future. Do you know what's going to happen tomorrow? I don't even know what's going to happen the next hour. We started Christ Kingdom Church 5 years ago, and we went through a lot. I remember one. It was right before the second worship, and there was this one guy. He was crying, and he was yelling, crying at the top of his voice, and everybody was like, and his parents had to take him away, right? I didn't know that was going to happen, but all kinds of things happened. We don't know what's going to happen the next moment, let alone the next day, right? We have never ever traveled this road called future before. Well, that's why it's future. But follow the covenant and we'll be victorious.
Amen.
Just like the Israelites. They followed the Ark of the Covenant, which meant that they followed the covenant. And they were led to the Jordan River. Hey, wait a minute. I followed the covenant and there's that Jordan River right in front of me. It's an obstacle, right? In a way, it's a problem. And it happened to be the flood stage of the river, which means that you can easily drown by crossing the river. But that was not a problem. When they followed the Ark of the Covenant of God, the river split.
Amen.
The river stopped flowing and they crossed the river. Same thing with us. When we follow the covenant, our problems will split.
Amen.
Whatever that means. It can mean a lot of different things. But you know what? Your problem will turn into blessings.
Amen.
Because the Israelites were in the land of Canaan, they didn't know which way to go. But when they followed the Ark of the Covenant, they knew which way they had to go. Joshua 3, verse 4, then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. Yes. When they followed the covenant, they knew the way they had to go. Same thing with us. A lot of times we say to ourselves, I don't know which way to go. We ask God, God, I don't know which way to go. Where do I go from here? I don't have any money. I lost all my friends. I don't have anything. Where do I go from here? Which way do I go? What do I study? What kind of job shall I get? You follow the covenant. And then you know which way to go. God will give you strength to overcome your challenge. Your challenges will turn into blessings.
Amen.
We will be victorious when we follow the covenant.
Amen.
The covenant of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
You still have to set your foot in the Jordan. Who said foot? How did you know? Oh, it's in the bulletin. The Levites, they were carrying the Ark of the Covenant, right? And the river didn't stop flowing until their feet touched the river Jordan. And they did that through faith. That was an act of faith.
Amen.
So when we follow the covenant, we have to act in faith. Well, first of all, I'm sorry to say this, but when you follow the covenant, you will face challenges. You may not like this part, but it's true. When the Israelites followed the Ark of the Covenant, they were led to the River Jordan. God gave me a mission, and that mission is to do healing ministry. So I did it as I thought I did it faithfully. And then what happens? I lost my health last year. Some of you know. I obeyed God's command. And I took that mission, the healing ministry, as the covenant of God, my personal covenant of God. And what happened? I lost my health last year. When you follow the covenant, you know what? You can meet challenges in your life. You can meet problems. We wish that we will only receive blessings when we follow the covenant. But when you follow the covenant, there could be persecutions.
That's right.
Because you followed the covenant. There can be problems, serious problems, just because you followed the covenant. Look at Joseph, who was sold as a slave to Egypt. He had a dream. He followed the covenant. Look what happened to him. Look what happened to Daniel. He had the covenant that God gave him. He almost became lion's lunch. Or dinner, or breakfast, it doesn't matter. Look at Esther. She was beautiful and she became the queen of Persia. Look what happened to her people. They were the people of the covenant. They almost died, all of them. Right? So when you follow the covenant, yes, there will be challenges. There will be problems. There will be obstacles. But we must act in faith before the challenges. You must set your foot into Jordan.
Amen.
In your challenge.
Amen.
In your obstacle. In your problem.
Amen.
That is your act of faith.
Amen.
Now, don't get me wrong. I told you last week, I used to be addicted to TV, watching TV. There was a time when I intentionally watched TV because I thought that was act of faith. Okay, this is my problem. This is my addiction, right? But I have faith, right? So the Jordan will split, the TV will split in half. That's ridiculous. But, I thought that was act of faith. I'm going to watch TV, and I'm going to start watching in 30 minutes, right? Because I have faith. You know what? I ended up watching for 3 hours. Even longer. That's not an act of faith, right? What is an act of faith? God will let you know. God will let you know. But face your challenge. Right? That's part of act of faith. Face your challenge. Don't be lying to yourself. Don't be lying to everybody. A lot of times, it was my own problem. It wasn't my parents. It wasn't my brother. It wasn't people around me. It wasn't the churches. Everywhere where I went, I blamed because, I was an assistant pastor before, so I went through many churches. Every church I went, there were problems. Of course there are problems. The world is filled with problems, right? But I blamed the churches. It's not my problem. That pastor is hypocritical, that elder is rude, he's mean, that deacon is a demon deacon. It's demonic. Yeah. But years later, I found God made me realize I had the problem. I have problems. I have problems. And you know what? It hurt my pride to admit that it was my own problem. It really, really hurt my pride. But I admitted it, and I shared it before my parents. Well, I didn't go around everywhere, telling the whole world, that's just, being stupid, right? But that was my act of faith.
Amen.
So it can be different for you. It can be different for each person, but you got to set your foot in the Jordan.
Amen.
Amen.
You must act in faith before your challenges. Then your challenges will turn into blessings.
Amen.
So Jordan, remember the Jordan didn't split until the Levites set their feet in the river, in the water. Here's the conclusion. When we follow the covenant in faith, our challenges will turn into great blessings.
Amen.
So let's be honest before God. Let's be honest to ourselves. Let's be honest to the people around us. Let's stop blaming those people. Let's stop blaming God.
Amen. That's right.
And let's start admitting, yes, I do have problems, just like the rest of the people, right? According to statistics, every single person has problems. I should have just said everybody has problems. That's the same thing. Right? Everybody has problems, whether they are rich or not, whether they are powerful or not, they all have problems. Right? So let's start from there, and let's come before God, admitting our problems. And let's hold on to the covenant that God gave us. God is a creator God. He can do anything. God can do anything. But how does God work in your life? Through His covenant. For us, that's the covenant of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
In Christ, we have forgiveness of sins.
Amen.
We have victory over Satan.
Amen.
God is with us forever.
Amen.
And we enjoy that through prayer.
Amen.
We enjoy that through messages. We enjoy that by hanging out with people who have the covenant, who have good faith.
Amen.
That part is very, very important. Yesterday I went to Rancho Cucamonga again to see Pastor Sam. 1 hour drive. Sometimes I wonder, why am I doing this? Right? 1 hour drive to Rancho Cucamonga. 1 hour drive back home. 2 hours every Saturday. I treat that pastor, but he doesn't treat me. Oh, he treated me once. Gotta get that record straight. Or maybe a few times. I need friends. We all need friends. But not just any friend. People who have the covenant of Christ. People who have great faith.
Amen.
Good faith, great faith.
Amen.
That's how enjoy. That's not the only way, but that's one of the ways you enjoy Emmanuel.
Amen.
Went to his church, and his church treated me spaghetti, and I had that spaghetti. It wasn't enough for me. I got hungry later. It's like, that's all they gave me for my lunch. I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's not about free lunch, right? I mean, I could have had my own lunch, right? Why was I there? To enjoy the covenant through the fellowship.
Amen.
And that's my priority. Right? I wish that church was closer, but that's okay. So let's enjoy the covenant, and let's follow the covenant in faith.
Amen.
Right? And I'm sorry to say this, once again, I'm sorry to say this, but when you follow the covenant, you will face challenges.
Amen.
Just like I faced my own challenge last year. I lost my health.
Yeah.
But God restored my health, and He upgraded me, so to
Amen.
speak. He upgraded me spiritually.
Amen.
And
Amen.
I found out that there were blind sides. I don't know if that makes sense, but there were areas in my life that I did not see. I came to see those areas in my life. And I was able to go into deep prayer. Before I couldn't. But because of the challenges I had, I was able to spend more time in prayer, and I was able to go into deep prayer. I couldn't do that before. And I was, so to speak, spiritually upgraded. So all glory to God. But this all happened because I followed the covenant in faith.
Amen.
So may you follow the covenant of Jesus Christ throughout this week in faith. God bless you, and may you enjoy the victory that's in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Let me pray. Father God, thank you for giving us the new covenant, the covenant of Jesus Christ. Thank you that we have victory over the forces of darkness.
Amen.
Thank you that we have forgiveness of sins in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Thank you that you are with us
Amen.
all the time, Emmanuel, in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Help us to enjoy this Emmanuel all the time.
Amen.
Help us to follow the covenant in faith. And at the same time, help us to know that all our challenges will turn into great blessings.
Amen.
May we be witnesses of this spiritual truth. I pray this in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.